Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Tuesday Talks with Ashley Hanna, your Metro Charlotte residential real estate agent, and Angelo Datseris, your go-to for all things mortgages, refinancing, and everything in between. Today we will be talking about the market and the stats for this week, and also some more information about the impact from the flooding in the various different states when it comes to Ida, and what that means for pending real estate transactions, how many have been affected, and what you can do to protect yourself even if you're not in like a coastal city. So stand by while I wait for Angelo to hop on, and then we will get started. I also have today's lumber prices, which are ticking up. Maybe, and I feel like maybe that's a result from Ida, but we'll see. So as always, please feel free to comment during today's episode, and we would love to answer. All right, Angela just hopped on. Where is he? Hi.
What is up, Ash?
How's it going?
What is going on? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I need to get the smudge off of my. Looks like it's a little smudgy. Maybe that's a little bit better. What's going on?
Oh, just same old.
Right. How was your long weekend?
It was good. It was really good.
Nice.
Yeah, we just hung out, laid low. What about y'all?
Same stuff. Really didn't do too much. Too much. Hung out with some friends. Had a little. Spent some time on the lake with the wifey's sister and brother-in-law. So yeah, it was a
That's
fun
nice.
time. Yeah.
It was good weather too.
Yeah, it was gorgeous, man. It
Yeah.
was gorgeous. It wasn't like super hot.
Right.
The humidity wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So
All right.
I was just going through some headlines, and this one kind of piggybacks on what we were talking about last week about Ida.
Okay.
And the headline is Ida flooding could jeopardize 47,000 home sales in New York and New Jersey,
Ooh.
valued at more than $19.4 billion,
Ouch.
according to those states, an analysis done in those states by Closing Corp.
Wow. Man.
I mean, that's so sad.
I know. That's so sad.
I mean, okay, so 47,000 home sales. So that's two parties, right? Because you have the seller and
right.
I mean, that's just counting the home. So, I mean, that's almost 100,000 people that are being impacted. And they thought they were buying a house, or they thought they were selling their house. And now either it's flooded or it's been destroyed in some manner. There's some kind of, cleanup effort that needs to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking, when I was reading this article, Angelo, it said that, so let me pull it up again just to make sure that I'm not misquoting it. It says mortgage servicers can provide forbearance for up to 90 days to homeowners they believe were affected without contacting them. Homeowners in disaster areas may be able to reduce or suspend their mortgage payments for up to 12 months without incurring late fees or risking foreclosure. Have you heard of that?
Because of the impact?
Yeah, so if they had damage, then.
Yeah, I mean, if you gotta figure if somebody's livelihood was basically wiped out, with their job and things like that, then yeah, they're gonna give them a little bit of a break, until they can get their stuff back together. That's crazy. But yeah.
I mean, A recent report from the U.S. Government Accountability Office noted that floodplain maps maintained by FEMA may not reflect current flood hazards or the potential for flooding from heavy rainfall. That's the thing. Like, flooding is happening. Like, just because you don't live on the coast or near, an ocean does not mean that your home isn't gonna flood.
Right. And I think next week we had kind of talked about this. Maybe we'll get Kenny on next week to talk about insurance and this kind of stuff for next week's Tuesday talk. So I'm going to make a note here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He can probably provide some insight into ways that homeowners can protect themselves going forward.
100%.
Because I think that, yes, this was a huge major event, but it seems like every year across the country, we are having these once in a lifetime events.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we learn from that.
Right.
So
you know what? And speaking of that, I'm actually not going to be here next week, so maybe just you and Kenny can hop on.
Well, that'll be good.
Yeah, because I'll be out in training. So.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I forgot about that. But yeah, definitely, it's definitely something good to talk about, to get to get educated on, to make sure that you're not a victim in case something like this happens.
Yep. And then I pulled the lumber prices for today, and where I normally get them is from the NASDAQ website, and the most recent numbers they had was as of September 3rd, and today's the 7th, but I don't know if that's because it was like a holiday or whatever. Anyways, the numbers for lumber are up, I think, pretty significantly from what they were trending at $639.20.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting that they kind of ticked up.
Yeah, and next week we'll check. Well, I mean, I won't be here, but next week we'll see what they're at next week. But because it's probably going to be a trickle down effect when it comes to the lumber prices with Ida and all that's happening. So
yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, maybe it's because of all that storm prep,
right?
That caused
the prices to go up, right?
So yeah.
So yeah, we can. Do you want to switch? You want to kind of flip it up? And I mentioned to you via text.
Yeah.
Talk about. I'm not sure if we would have talked about this before, but I've had. There's a lot of new construction, or more so new construction, kind of coming on the market than existing homes. I'm dealing a lot with, competing against builders and things like that. And I am competing against the builders, and it's 9 times out of 10, doesn't happen all the time, but 9 times out of 10, the builder offers incentives to use the lender that is, a preferred lender with the builder. And of course you have your, so first I think we can talk about the sales contracts and maybe that preferred lender, how it's maybe not always the best, the best option. And, I thought it may be a good idea because I'm actually quoting one out right now. And then, so we'll talk about, we'll kind of talk about how it can, the builder, when you're doing the new construction, how it goes down when it comes to the appraisal and the certificate of occupancy and all that. And then maybe we'll go into the contract. But, I received a contract over the weekend. Just started working on it this morning. And they also sent me the builder's quote, and they're like, look, we don't want to go with the builder's lender, but, of course we want to take advantage of that incentive, which is 100%, I totally agree with, right?
Yeah.
And so this particular builder's lender, they are higher in interest rate. Okay. Because I just got done quoting it out, and I'll kind of tell you the breakdown on this particular transaction. It's a $585 sales price. Okay. The client's putting, about $100,000 down. So it's about a $485 loan amount. Okay. The difference in rate between they're getting $4,500 back in incentive if you use the builder's lender.
Okay.
The builder's quote, the lender's quote was 3.125. Okay. My quote was 2.907. Okay. So that's about an eighth, maybe a little bit more than an eighth better. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you put those two quotes side by side, right?
Right.
And you look at and of course, you're not going to be in the home for 30 years, or maybe you're going to be in the home for 30 years. Who knows? But this is definitely, they're going to be in for a long time, which I do know. But anyways, so the total difference in interest, let's just make it easy. The interest savings between 2.907 and 3.125 is $20,616.08. Okay, that's a $20,000 savings over the life of the loan. Now,
Wow.
if you're going to be looking at, okay, 5,000 up front or 4,500 up front may seem like a lot, which it is. Okay, that's a lot of money, but long term, does that make sense to you? Does it make sense? Okay, so if you want that $4,500, my 3.125 rate, I'm getting you back $5,000. So I can do the same thing that these
Right.
builders lenders do, because think about it. They build it in somewhere.
Right.
It's either going to be in the interest rate or it's somewhere they're building it. Nobody gets anything for free. Okay, you're not getting it for free. So just think twice. Think twice about when you're you're going through a builder and they basically are steering you into using their lender by these incentives. And we now have a voice. A committee specifically for this in the broker channel, that we are going to be talking to the lobbyists, the policymakers, and we're going to be bringing this to people's attention, that it's not right what they're doing. It's really not right.
No, it's not in the consumer's best interest.
It's not. It's not 100%.
I'm glad to hear that there's going to be some lobbying going on, because I do feel that builders get away with a lot when it comes to doing the right thing by the consumer, which is how I operate and how you have to operate. Not
Correct.
only because it's the right thing to do, but because we've taken, we're part of an association where we said that we were going to abide by those ethical standards.
Correct.
Right.
God. Yeah. So, and so if the client, because it seems enticing, okay, and they don't, and once again, 99% of the time, you can't make an offer on the property without going through that builder's lender to get a rate quote to see if you're pre-qualified, Yeah. So, I don't, I've always been an advocate for our channel. And I do see, I just wish more people were aware that it's not always better. Sometimes it is. I am not gonna lie. I have been price matched and I have been beat by a builder's lender, 9 times out of 10, because they own it. It's usually not an affiliated. They own the mortgage company. The builder, has a separate arm for mortgages. So in that respect, sometimes I can't win, and I will respectfully bow out and say, you know what, this is a great deal, rock and roll, I will see you later.
Which, and that's, that's what I tell my clients whenever we walk into, I try to have these conversations beforehand. If we're going to go look at a new construction house and we're going to go through the sales office, which is usually what you have to do, I say, now they are going to have a preferred lender. And like you said, 99% of the time, they're going to require you to at least get, pre-qualified using their preferred lender, even though we might have a letter from you or they've already gotten a pre-approval from somewhere else. Right. And I'm like, per the contract, because the builder supplies the contract, which we will go into next. Yep. Right. That, that's kind of what the show is out of the gate. And I always encourage my clients to, follow the contract. Let's get approved by one of their lenders. But also, let's also go to Angelo. Go to, if you have another relationship with another broker. Right. And compare apples to apples, because whether it's $4,500 maybe initially, but like you just said, over the life of the loan, this particular situation was over $20,000 that you were going to be saving that client.
Right.
What it's not going to be on day one, but it's going to be over the life of the loan. So it's just explaining those things.
Correct. Right. You know, and it's just, and sometimes it's, you know, sometimes, you know, you do a fantastic job of educating your clients on what's going to happen. If you're, once you walk in that, that sales office's door. And so your clients, you know, usually come back to me and say, hey, can you beat this or whatever? But there are some that I don't even get that chance. They're like, oh, I'm getting 5,000. I'm not going to even talk to Angelo again. They won't return phone calls. You know, they just won't even give me the common decency. Well, this particular client, they're like, Angelo, we want to use you. But, you know, I was like, that's fine, 100%. And thank you. And which I commend all clients that come back to me for any particular scenario, whether it be a refinance, purchase, investment, whatever it may be, and just be straight up. And, you know, we can definitely talk about this on another episode because I think it's very important. Just being common courtesy when it comes to reaching out to, you know, we do a lot of work on the back end and we don't get paid for it. So just a follow up and saying, hey, this is what I got. Can you match it? What can you do, if anything? And you know what? If just that alone speaks volumes on your character and your integrity. So I thank them for at least come back to me and telling me, hey, we want to use you. You've been great, you know, but what can you do? And so I'm going to, you know, once we get off this chat here, I'm going to send that to them and we're going to break it down line by line.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the other thing I always tell my clients. I'm like, you know, just reach out and just send Angelo what you got from the lender, from the builder's lender, because he wants to compare apples to apples.
Right.
It's important that he understands the full picture, because if he can help you, he will. Yep. And if he can't, listen, he'll be the first one to tell you. And I, you know, we work closely together, so I have visibility onto these things. And
right.
You know, I mean, that's the one thing I appreciate is you're like, I mean, I would take this, you know, I can't touch this. So
yeah, for sure.
You know, and it's like super easy. And then everyone has peace of mind. And then we know that our clients are getting the best deal possible and they understand all steps of the process.
Yeah. You know, another thing about, you know, when the home is under construction, you have to understand too, I don't think I've ever had a closing on time with a builder that a home has been under construction. It's always been pushed. You know, the CO doesn't come in time. So I always like to educate the client, say, look, here's their tentative date that this is going to be done. I don't know if it's going to make it to this date, but here are options. They're probably not going to make this date because, like I said, in my experience, they have not. So we're going to have to either extend the rate lock at this point in time. We're going to have to, I won't be able to get it clear to close until the final inspection is done. We have to get a CO, which is a certificate of occupancy by the city. So there's a lot of moving parts. And then usually if we have an appraisal up front, we will then have to get another appraisal to do the final inspection for the CO. So it's a two-step process with that, and it's additional money. So you know, it's all just educating the client. No surprises when it comes to, we've had enough experience when it comes to builders. We know this is probably going to happen. So let's just go ahead and tell everybody up front that this may happen, and this is going to be our plan B, and this is what we'll have to do if this does happen. So they know instead of any surprises at the end.
And I always try to control what I can control. And when it comes to new construction, honestly, there's very little that we can control. You know, so, you know, like I do things that I've heard other agents don't do, like read the contracts. So speaking.
Yeah. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt there.
No, I think someone's going to knock on my door in a second.
Oh, so your dog's in the bar.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, right? Contracts, definitely beware. It's very hard. it's very hard to get anything changed in a builder's contract, is it not?
Oh my God. I literally went toe to toe with a new construction rep last week on a contract because I was like, wait, the contract states this, and you're telling me that we can't do that. I'm like, I just need to understand I don't understand the words. Like, help me here because we would like to do what the contract says, but you're telling me we can't.
Right. Yeah. So definitely, it's one of the things that you just need to go through. You need to read it line by line, word for word, and
Yeah.
just know what you're getting into when you get into a builder's contract, because they got a death grip on you. So just be
Yeah.
careful. I'm not trying to say that all builders are bad.
No,
Okay?
no,
Not at all.
no.
It's just they play by their own rules, which I
Right.
don't quite understand how they can do that. So, oh well.
And the second, and I always make this clear because nothing is more frustrating to me when I hear that somebody walked into a new construction sales office and they did not have representation.
Ugh.
Those sales reps in those model homes work for the seller. I'm going to repeat that. Those sales reps in those model homes work for the seller. They are representing
100%.
the seller and the builder's best interest, not yours. And you should
Yeah,
know that the second you walk in.
Right. They have no interest of yours at hand when you're on their turf. None whatsoever. Very, very important words, Ashley. Very important.
Yep. So, we try to, I want the consumer, just like you, to be protected. And builders do a lot of great things. I live in a new construction home. We're not saying that it's bad. It's a good thing in a lot of
Sure.
situations.
Right.
It's just important to know what you're walking into and to make sure that you have your own team behind you, supporting you, guiding you.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Because it's it's seen some crazy stuff in my day.
For sure.
So, but yeah. So that's basically it. When it comes to contracts, Ashley, what are like just like the things that you see most frequent when it comes to builders contracts, like 1, 2, or 3 things that are kind of sticks out in your brain to just keep an eye out for when you're dealing with a builder's contract?
So I like to look at what they are requiring for earnest money or a due diligence fee. A lot of times builders will just take an earnest money fee in North Carolina, and like what that fee schedule is. So is it once you sign the contract, once the contract is fully executed, are you giving them a check for $500? Is it a certain percentage of the sales price? Is it all due up front? Do you have 30 days? So understanding that.
Okay.
Secondly, I always look at what you were speaking to. Is it required for the buyer to be approved by a preferred lender of the builder? So I'll make sure that we're in compliance there. A lot of times verbiage in there will be change orders, like changes made during the construction process if it's being built from the ground up. What expenses are, like what costs can the buyer incur if they are able to make changes?
Right.
What are the time frames on those?
Got it.
Home warranties, is there one provided? What does that look like?
And should you get your own survey done on top of, or your home inspection? I guess I should ask if the builder is going to do an inspection. I mean, I'll let you answer that, but.
I always advise my clients to get their own surveys and their own inspections done. If we're able to do a pre-drywall, meaning the builder hasn't hung the drywall yet, I always like to get those done out of the gates and then do one like when it's close to being finished. So when that certificate of occupancy is being issued, I like to do one around then as well. Because I have seen so many issues where I'm reselling a house with a client and they didn't have the inspection done and some major things were overlooked. And I'm like, you know, we got to address this, and the builder's warranty isn't going to cover it. So here are your options, right? And a lot of time it's an expense to the seller because they're pretty major defects, and it's on the seller, right, when they bought the house to make sure that they get the inspections done. Because that's the only time you can address it with the builder.
Right. Wow, that's fan. I mean, that's very. I mean, you would think, oh no, it's a brand new house. You don't need an inspection. Why would I want to get an inspection? It's brand new. Everything's new. So that is very good information. That, I mean, a couple $100, you know, $500 to get an inspection property to save you once again thousands over the life.
Yep. And WS Inspect on here is saying, do not miss the pre-drywall because it's a great time to spot fixable issues that, if ignored down the line, will cost you money, like I was kind of speaking on. So I had a client where it was a resale. They had bought it new construction. They did not have an inspection. And when we went to sell it, I was representing the sellers. The buyers got an inspection and found several trusses were cut in the attic. Well, a truss is supporting the weight of the roof. And if they're cut, that's compromising that integrity. And we had to have a structural engineer, which is, you know, $1,000 just to have them come out and tell you what the problem is. It's not fixing anything.
Now, was that on the, who had to pay for that? Was that the buyer or the seller had to pay for that?
Well, we kind of, in that situation, it kind of depends. I think there are some ways that you can be creative so that all parties are working together. But I always like to have when it's the buyer and their inspector finds those issues, I do this too if I'm representing the buyer, I have the buyer have a structural engineer verify what the inspector found, and then we present that to the sellers.
Got it.
Right? And then the sellers are responsible for making any fixes.
Right, repairs.
That's how I like to do it. A lot of it depends on just the structure.
I got you. Scenario. Yeah, I got you. Okay. Wow, this is all great info for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even see that she asked a question. I think my stuff is like stuck over here for people. Anyways, oh well.
I got it.
Well, thank you. Thanks, WS Inspect, for your knowledge. I appreciate that. And yeah, we should have them on too. We should schedule freeways with Urbody.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is great information, Ash. It really was. It's definitely things that you should know, should be aware of going into new construction, new builds. You know, we're like I said, we're not trying to, you know, knock a builder, but you know, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. You know, builders make mistakes, and sometimes they're not seen. So just cross your T's and dot your I's.
That's right. And if you have any questions ever, please reach out to myself or Angelo.
Yep.
We can help, you know, answer your questions or direct you in the right, you know, the right way.
Well, cool. This is good. This is a good
awesome.
One. Anything else? I think we're good. Let's wrap.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it.
Let's wrap it up. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you next week. Well, you'll see maybe not myself, but maybe somebody else fill in for me. But I'll start an email thread with you and Kenny. So check your email, and then we'll get rocking.
Sounds good. Thank you.
See you later, guys. Bye bye.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye bye.